pleased to call this village board meeting to order. It is April 2nd, 2012, and I'm very pleased to introduce to you members of the PAC 269 representing Patton School. They're the Bear Den of PAC 269. We have Evan Disk, Riley Mantley, Patrick Klein, Jake Sanders, Ben Randall, Sam Shuffler, Andrew Hahn, and Jacob Schiffman. They're accompanied by their leader, Richard Manthey. Gentlemen, you may begin. Gentlemen. Would the audience please rise?
Scouts, post the colors.
Audience, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's give these young men a hand. These third graders did a good job. We can all be seated at this point. Thank you again for joining us, and we are reminded about our community as we have tremendous, and we're so proud of our scouts, both girls and Boy Scouts throughout our village. I'd like to call on our clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Blackwood.
Here.
Trustee Breyer.
Here.
Trustee Farwell. Trustee Glasgow.
Here.
Trustee Hayes.
Here.
Trustee Rosenberg. Trustee Scaletta.
Here.
Trustee Sidor.
Here.
President Mulder.
Here. We now move down to approval of minutes. We have 4 sets of minutes before us this evening as we have concluded our budget hearings as well as a regular meeting. First set before the Board of Trustees for approval tonight are the minutes of our Committee of the Whole meeting of March 12th, 2012, and I'd ask if there are any comments, corrections, deletions, or additions.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Scaletta. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We now move to the minutes of a Committee of the Whole meeting March 15th, 2012. Again, any comments, corrections, deletions, or additions?
Move approval.
Motion
Second.
by Trustee Blackwood, seconded by Trustee Sidor.
Pass.
A note of pass for Trustee Glasgow. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next, we move to our regular Board of Trustees meeting held March 19th, 2012. Again, comments, corrections, additions, or deletions?
Move approval.
Motion by Trustee Hayes,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Sidor. Any other comments?
Pass.
Pass for Trustee Scaletta. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And finally, the fourth meeting, also a Committee of the Whole meeting held March 21st, our last, I believe, budget hearing. I'd again ask if there are any comments, corrections, deletions, or additions.
Move approval.
Motion by Trustee Hayes,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Glasgow. Trustee Scaletta, pass. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We now come to the approval of our accounts payable dated March 30th, 2012, and I'd call on Trustee Hayes.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move approval of the payables in the amount of $656,838.63.
Second.
A motion by Trustee Hayes, seconded by Trustee Glasgow. Was that what I heard correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions from trustees? Anyone in the audience? Roll call.
Trustee Hayes.
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow.
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood.
Yes.
Trustee Breyer.
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta.
Yes.
Trustee Sidor.
Yes.
President Mulder.
Yes. Before I move to item 6, I would just like to mention to those of you in the audience, if you wish to follow along, there are some agendas, I believe, in the back of the room. And if you wish to address the village board on an item not on the agenda, please complete a card. If you are going to speak to an item on the agenda, a card is helpful as well, but please indicate as to the subject matter so that we would know when to call upon you. So again, we request all speakers to address the village board to complete one of these blue cards. We're going to item 6, recognition and presentations. This has been a tremendous winter season, which I know we didn't get much snow, but it was technically winter. But we've had great success from our young citizens who attend high schools in our area. We've had some before at our meetings, and I'm very, very pleased today to say that we're going to be recognizing the Rolling Meadows High School Winter Color Guard. Is their coach here? Aha. If you can please come up to the mic, and I'm going to come down in front because I've got to meet these young, athletic, enthusiastic color guard here. They are honored by placing, what it doesn't say here what place.
They came in third place in the lyrical flag category at the state competition and second place in the short flag category.
I knew they made lots of different things, so if I can come down and join you, I think, here, I'm going to ask if you can introduce each of these members and have them come up in front, please. I've got the list. Coaches don't always remember every kid's name.
They're all here. Desdemona Alvarez.
Please come forward here.
Christina Crucius. Emma Karate. Lisa Kowalik. Dun Kim. Meredith Lenahan. Kelsey O'Shields. Daniela Sui. Amanda Vo. And Christine Worster. And also our assistant coach, Ms. Okina Gunn.
You're going to do the flips for us, right?
Oh.
Stand right here with me. And Coach, if you would come up here too. Which one of you want us to tell the audience exactly what these young ladies do, because we know they're talented?
The Winter Color Guard performs in different categories. One of them, as I mentioned, was the lyrical flag category, and this is a routine in which the dance really expresses the lyrics of the music, very elegant, very flowing. And then our other routine is a short flag routine, in which they do moves that enhance the music with a shorter flagpole. The lyrical flag uses a tall flagpole, and all the routines involve dance, tossing the flags up in the air, tossing the flags to each other, a lot of great choreography.
Add anything here?
I just wanted to say I'm very proud of these young ladies. They worked very hard, and I'm just amazed at the dedication that they have.
I think sometimes we think kids go to high school and they just kind of, they go to class, but they're all about what happens between class and before and after school. And we all knew about football, volleyball, baseball, softball, but there's so many different ways that our students can participate in interscholastic competition. They learn not only skills, but they learn how to work together, how to respect each other, how to appreciate the competitors when maybe they don't succeed, like we didn't get first in everything, but that's okay. That's the stimulus for next year. But we're getting more and more types of activities, which means more of our students can become involved and have the experience of being part of a group, taking instruction and knowing whether their part is big or small, it makes a whole. And that's absolutely fantastic. I think you people sitting there in the chair better put those hands together and say, you guys did a good job. Okay, this is my familiar face, so tell me from a student standpoint here, what it's been like to be a part of this team.
It's been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot, and yeah. It's been fun being a part of a team with a lot of people. It takes a lot of time, but it's really rewarding, and I've had a lot of fun. Yeah.
And she's got her purple Mustang color on. Okay, anybody else want to say something? Anybody here a senior? Whoa. Okay.
It's been an honor being on this team for 4 years, and it's going to be sad to leave, but yeah.
What are you doing next year?
Going to Harper.
All right. Staying close to home. Where's
Yep.
the other senior here?
Where am I going?
Well, no. What do you want to say about the team?
I'm just really proud of them because I know it's a lot of work, but it's all worth it in the end. So.
What most important thing do you think you learned?
I think working on as a team, because I know sometimes we don't all get along, but we're all able to put it behind us and learn to get over it and work together anyway.
I love it when someone paraphrases what I tried to say, because that's really what sport's about. It's not a winning and losing. It's all those things that you get as you work toward a goal. And again, I want to congratulate each of you. You should be proud. I know my children all graduated as Mustangs from Rolling Meadows, so they obviously, I think all the alumni certainly enjoy this accomplishment. It's not everyone that gets to be called a champion, and you guys have made all of us proud. So thank you very much, and one more round of congratulations. All right, the winners. Thank you very much. Second place, short flag. How many of you in the audience have ever seen a performance by them? Oh, your parents. That doesn't count. No, these young ladies are just fantastic, and to take second place in the short flag and the third, and I would be hard pressed to tell you the difference of these two categories, but they do, and that's the important thing. So congratulations and thank you on behalf of all of our residents in Arlington Heights, and I'm sure Rolling Meadows too.
Yeah, Mulder?
Yes, Trustee Sidor. Another Mustang.
1970 graduate of Rolling Meadows High School. It makes me very happy to see Mustangs gracing our halls here, you know, with your success. So just wanted to throw that in there as a fellow Mustang. Well done.
Thank you, Mike. We also, under our recognitions and presentations, we have members of Arlington Cares tonight that wish to make a presentation to us at this meeting. So why don't all of you come up? I'd like to welcome Bob Ellert.
Thank you, President Mulder, and thank you, the board, for allowing us to come and make this presentation this evening. It's been wonderful working with Arlington Cares. About 18 months ago, Carol called me on the phone and said she was reconstituting Arlington Cares. It had been set aside for a little while, and I was very excited to hear what Arlington Cares did. Living in Arlington Heights, really believing in City of Good Neighbors, and we have Arlington Cares, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Well, a young lady, Jamie Thompson, was our first president, and at that time, she laid a very, very good foundation for Arlington Cares. And when I took over a little more than 6 months ago, we kind of put it on the road. We have many, many programs going. Arlington Cares has been established to help those who are in need within the boundaries of the city. With these economic times right now, we're having a lot of problems. And we decided that we could put monies together, we could have fundraisers, and we also thought it's also helpful if we could have individuals, people, businesses in the town, doctors, dentists, who would give of their time to help people in the town that needed our help. And we call that our in-kind program. Well, we set a program that we would put together $52,000 to help the village this year. And we are on the road. We have programs ahead of us right now. We're right now in the process. We're about to announce a program with some people coming into town. We're going to have a concert. And we're looking forward to that, and that'll be announced just shortly. We also have Arlington Cares Days coming up in August. And we have, we're looking into possibly a car show, many things that we can help. And one thing that's set right now is we're having a wine tasting at here in town at Cooper's Hawk. We want to keep everything in town. And that's going to be on June 15th. So that's coming up pretty soon. And all the funds go to Arlington Cares. I do everything. My favorite word is, Mayor knows, is free. And working in what I do, I try to get as many people to help as we can. And I'm looking very forward to our fundraiser, and I'm looking forward to meeting and talking to each of the trustees at our forthcoming fundraiser. But one of the things that's been very exciting is it isn't just talk. We have put together quite a bit of money so far this year, and the funds are going to be distributed through the Emergency Assistance Fund, which is run by Carol Jancic here at Arlington Heights. And others, if organizations within the town come to us, if it fulfills what we're set out to do, we may give funds directly, such as the backpack program, et cetera, here in town. But at this time, I'd like to present to Carol Jancic the first check from this board, and that check is in the amount of $2,000, and I'd like to present that at this time to Carol. And we are very excited over what we're able to do here, Mayor. And it's been with your encouragement and the encouragement of so many here in town, and it's a pleasure to be part of this.
Thank you, Bob. And I have to say that as a leader yourself at helping others through the Salvation Army and the many, many programs that it has, for those of you who are not familiar with the emergency fund, it's very apparent throughout the year, but particularly at the holiday season, when very generous families are known to write out a check in similar amounts that you're presenting tonight, as just as a family who say, you know, they've given, their kids are grown and they've given enough gifts, they want to help a family that may not have the means to really put any kind of package or food on the table for the holidays. And Carol, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of the emergency fund? You deal with it day in and day out. You have been called the miracle worker, and you say to me you're the luckiest person in the world because you get to put money and food to those who otherwise would not have it.
It's very true. It's very rewarding doing this job for the village, and especially in the last year or two with the way things have been in the economy. We have lots of people going through foreclosures, losing jobs, and not knowing where to turn. People who aren't used to being in that kind of situation. And because of the generosity of the village and the money that they afford us, and that also from donations like organizations like Arlington Cares, we're able to help people with rent assistance. It's a one-time emergency help, but it really gets people over that hump. What we try to do is coordinate services not only through the village, but also we coordinate and partner with other agencies to get all of the problems worked out and get these people to a point where then they can take over and independently bring their lives back to some kind of normalcy.
Well, I know so many of our residents and people who might watch this meeting have charitable groups that they either work with and have funded for years. But I think it's important to say that Arlington Cares is a 501(c)(3). It is a tax-deductible charitable group, and hopefully people who are looking for something new and different that'll be helping their neighbors might consider this. It's you accept contributions anytime?
Yes. All throughout the year.
All throughout the year.
Yes.
That's wonderful to hear, and I think on behalf of the residents that will benefit from this generous $2,000 that you're to contribute this evening, I would like to, for them, say thank you, and thank those of your committee and those who help run all these fundraisers that, Bob, you listed that are in the near future, that you can attend these events and know that you're going to have a good time at the event, but that the dollars that you have contributed to join this group in that event will mean more than we can even imagine. So let's all thank you and all of those that are on your committee and the volunteers that work these charitable events. That's always the best. So congratulations, and we welcomely accept your $2,000.
I would just like to say thank you to President Mulder and to the whole board for your continued support through all the years that I've been here in helping our residents. It really means a lot.
Well, I know that you do so much, Carol, and you're very cautious of how you award the money, and that's also very comforting sometimes for the donors to know. You're strict. Okay. So thank you again, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Any other any comments from trustees? I don't want to bypass you here. We now move to public hearings, and we have two this evening. And I'd like a motion to convene a public hearing to fulfill a requirement to discuss and have our fiscal 2013 budget presented. Could I have such a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Sidor. Mr. Siegel, voice vote. All those in favor of the convening the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor, board members. The Village Board held 4 budget review sessions in March of this year. Tonight is the statutorily required public hearing on the proposed budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1. The total of that budget is $137,443,220. The total for the library budget is $18,698,873. The village budget is approximately 13% less than the budget for the fiscal year that will end April 30, 2012.
Questions or comments by trustees? I would say they've spent 4 meetings. Those are many of the minutes that we were approving earlier this evening. Met with each and every department and representatives of other groups that are involved in our budget. We're pleased that last December this board voted not to increase the tax levy, knowing that we all got those same tax bills as our residents did, that there was belt tightening, and it continues. And I thank you, Mr. Dixon, for your leadership with the staff to present this budget. Mr. Siegel, do we have to do anything other than, how do we proceed with this?
This is a public hearing, so any persons who wish to be heard.
Is there anybody who wishes to address the board on any element? I did bring my budget. It's here. I'll try to find it if you have some questions. Are there any residents here to address the budget? It is balanced. That's a good thing. So, seeing none, a motion to close the public hearing?
You have to do municipal aggregation, I believe, Madam Mayor.
That's another hearing.
Do we close the hearing and then open it up, or do we
Open
do the
another
same
one.
Okay, motion to close then.
Motion by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Scaletta to close this public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. I now need a motion to convene the public hearing to address municipal aggregation.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Glasgow. All those in favor of convening the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We're now in the municipal aggregation. Mr. Dixon, I'll call on you.
Thank you, Mayor. The March 20th referendum on this subject passed in all 7 communities, of which Arlington Heights was one. Briefly, what will be occurring over the next 6 to 8 weeks as the process moves forward is as follows. The state law requires 2 public hearings in each community. The first hearing will be ours tonight in Arlington Heights, and we'll have our second on April 16. The purpose of these hearings is to receive comments on our plan of operation and governance, which is available in the village clerk's office and also online. The draft plan of operation and governance describes how the aggregation program will provide for access to all applicable customers. It explains how demand management and energy efficiency services will be provided to each class of customers, and how the aggregation effort will meet any other legal requirements concerning aggregated electrical service. This is a statutory requirement as a result of the successful referendum, and I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. We do have one resident that's requested to address the board during this public hearing. Ron Vergeisen? I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Correct me when you get to the microphone. And if you could state your name and address, please.
Yeah, the name is Ron Vargason. Most people do get it wrong. And I live in Arlington Heights at 2002 North Fernandez. I would just like to emphasize that in this process of acquiring bids or aggregation, that it's very important to some of us residents, I know my wife and I, that one of the options we're provided is a 100% renewable energy option. I think that going forward, that's a move that we must take to keep ourselves in the leadership of providing energy for not only ourselves, but our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vargason. I believe, Mr. Dixon, that is going to be an option?
Yes, I think Mr. Shirley can comment on this. He represents the village with the 6 other communities, and this is a matter that both the board and that group has considered.
Yeah, and Mayor, to follow up on Mr. Dixon's comments, there will be an option where residents can opt into a 100% renewable option. So that is part of the RFQ and RFP documents.
I had a discussion with Mr. Dixon today in the thought of making certain that we make available information that there are choices to be made, and one of those choices is that if you wish to just simply stay with ComEd, you can opt out. Is that correct?
Correct. There'll be a packet that goes out to residents and small businesses that qualify sometime probably in June, once we've nailed down a rate and a rate structure. And that'll have information in there about the program. There will be an opt-out form that people can submit if they want to stay with ComEd. If people are already with another third-party electricity supplier, they won't have to do anything, and they can just stay with that third-party electricity supplier or Aries. But if they want to stay with ComEd, they'll have to fill out a form and submit it to us, and they'll also be able to do that online. And then we're not sure exactly how it'll work yet, but there'll be a base bid, and then there'll likely be some opt-in, options if people want renewable energy options. We're not exactly sure how it's going to work yet. We're going to look at the pricing when we get it. And so it's very possible that the base bid might also include up to 100% renewable option as well. We're just going to see what the pricing and as a group, the consortium is going to make a decision at that time.
Any idea of time frame when residents will, this information will be shared with our residents?
I'm looking probably at mailing out the packets in June is what we think right now, and that the actual cheaper electricity should start flowing sometime in July, August at the latest.
Okay. Any other questions? Trustee Sidor?
Thank you, Mayor Mulder. Mr. Shirley, just to make sure I understand that you're not quite sure yet how the proposal is going to come forward with the mix of electricity, whether we're going to have an apples-to-apples comparison of 100% for all 7 communities of, let's call it brown power versus, renewable power. Is that correct?
Correct. We are going to get pricing to have the base bid be brown, which, for everybody's information, by law actually includes 7% renewable, but that's a very low percentage and doesn't satisfy a lot of people who want the renewable option. Then there'll likely be a price for the base bid to be some percentage higher than the 7% for renewable, and then opt-in rates for everything up to 100% renewable. And it's possible that the base bid, if it's close enough, we actually might consider the base bid being something with a high percentage of renewable energy as well. So the committee, basically when we had these public information meetings in the 3 communities last month, is what we heard from people is that there was a lot of interest and people were very vocal about wanting us to look at the 100% renewable option. So we've heard similar comments and input like Mr. Vargason's, and the consortium is taking that into account.
Okay. Anything else?
As you know, I'm an advocate of the 100% renewable option, and I'd just like to see the apples-to-apples comparison, similar to what we said regarding Oak Park, and provided a lot of information to staff, how the difference between renewable and brown was minuscule, and Oak Park went with 100% renewable because the savings was only a small amount versus brown, and they felt they were doing the right thing. I'd like to see just the numbers, if we could, if that's possible.
Oh, we will.
I know we're only one of 7.
I'm sorry if my long-winded answer didn't answer that succinctly, but yes, we will have an apples-to-apples comparison.
Great. That's all
Absolutely.
I care about. Thank you very much, Mr. Shirley.
Any other comments from trustees? I had no other cards. Were there no one else that wished to address this issue? Seeing none, anything else in this public hearing from staff? No. Trustee Scaletta?
I was going to move to close the public hearing.
Motion from Trustee Scaletta.
Second.
Second by Trustee Sidor to close the public hearing on municipal aggregation of electricity. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We now move to citizens to be heard, a point in which those of you who wish to address a subject that's not on our agenda can be brought forth. And I'm going to start with Anne-Marie Lindstrom in regards to the ash tree borer control. Welcome, Anne-Marie.
Hi, Anne-Marie Lundstrom, 2644 North Waterman, up in Northgate 5. I'm an original owner. I've been there for 37 years. So I watched my trees when they were little twigs, about that big, and I watered them, even though they're on the parkway. I took care of them. And I have been around my neighborhood trying to get my neighbors to help with saving all of our trees. It's just beautiful now. I mean, the mailman that we had, he was our original mailman, and he said, yeah, when I started here, the sun used to be beating on me. It was awful. And he said, now it's beautiful. The trees are gorgeous, and I'm retiring. So I guess he didn't know about our problem with the trees. Anyway, some people are willing to have the trees injected, and I got a really good price. I actually went to the other Northgate meeting, and I talked to Sunrise Tree Care, and he quoted me a price of $104, which that's a 2-year coverage of the tree. And you know, I've talked to people, they said that sounds like a good price, but we really think that it's the village's responsibility. It's on the parkway, and, you know, they should at least put something out to help. And so I said, well, I'll go before the board and I'll ask them then. And I hope that you would consider paying a portion or putting it out for bid or whatever you can do, because some of the people, when I talk to them, up in Northgate we have green ribbons around the trees, and one lady said to me, oh, I thought that was for St. Patrick's Day. And I said, no, that's for the ash trees. And she said, I didn't know anything about that. So obviously she doesn't get the Herald and she doesn't, you know what's going on. But I thought that if you would be willing, then we could send out some kind of a notice so that people would know what is going on. And, you know, if there could be a portion of it that the village could pay. I mean, if you're going to cut the trees down and you're going to plant new trees, it's definitely going to cost you more money than it would this injection. And if I got the price of $104, and if you put it out to bid, I bet you could get a much better price than that. So thank you for listening to me, and I hope you will reconsider. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne Marie. And you can tell you know your 3-minute limit, which I forgot to remind everybody. You were good. You were good. You were under it. For those of you who are yet to call, we do have a 3-minute time limit because we never know quite how many people want to speak, and to try to keep somewhat, to make sure we end this evening, not tomorrow morning. We have a 3-minute countdown there, and I believe, Becky, do you have a new sign or something? Oh, can you show us your sign? Should put please underneath there or something. Yeah, okay. Mr. Dixon, were staff going to make, that was our only comment on the ash tree situation. Do we have any other comments?
Only that this is a subject the board has asked us to take a look at, namely possible cost sharing. We are working on that. We'll be reporting back to the board soon.
We've had a number of meetings where residents have come forward and expressed concerns. Some fantastic organization in many of the neighborhoods. You mentioned one, Northgate, and one, a couple of them in the south side of the village, north side, and everything in between. But you make a good point, and I think, Mr. Dixon, have we sent anything to every single household?
Yes, twice.
So
once,
twice there has been something in the mail. That's what I thought.
A brochure that went once on its own and once with the water bills.
Okay, so we are trying to communicate. Unfortunately, we learned several years ago not to do something village-wide in the winter when we have many people who find the South more desirable to stay for a few months. So I think maybe we have to keep maybe one more message once we get through mid-April that maybe they're back home. Although we didn't have a winter here, but that was pretty fortunate, I think. Any other comments on EAB? Okay, we'll go to the others who have wished to address the village board. And these are on the subject of parking in downtown, which is another issue that we're trying to find the right recipe for. Mariana Polygums? Albigenus. There's an E in there? I missed it. It's just G-A-M-S on the end, right? Hi, I know the face. Okay. If you could give your name and address, please.
Sure, Maureen Alpajanis, and I'm 120 Lincoln Lane here in Arlington Heights. My concern is that I work in town here, and I've been stressed by the amount of the price of the parking permit. I know that there's people that commute from our town to the city, and I've worked for 12 years in this town, and I just find $30 a month a lot to pay. And I'm just very nervous talking, but I work 2 jobs, and I pay $300 in insurance, And I wish that there was some kind of parking that you could have that's, you know, I work part-time. If there was parking, I work over at Ann Taylor Loft, and it is a struggle to not get a ticket because we can't park downstairs because it's only 3 hours. And it's just disturbing that it can't be, you know, discounted. I know there's $1.50 across the street, but it just doesn't seem like, if we're working in town and supporting the town, and that there can't be some kind of reduced rate for employees or set parking. I watch people at Mariano's parking in a lot across the street, and they're not paying for it. It's just hard.
Mr. Dixon, what is the criteria? Is it after 12 that the commuter spaces at the municipal building here, which is just across from Ann Taylor, it's free, is it not, after noon?
That's correct, as is the lot across the street.
I don't know what your hours are.
I work at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you start in the morning.
And you know, it's a struggle, you know, that most people are part-time, and it's not 3 hours, it might be 4 hours. So that just, I've worked since the doors open, since the whole, you know, Starbucks and everything has been there, and I go to lunch and I do business here, and I just find it hard that there's not a common, you know, I know the $1.50, that's a great deal, or parking afternoon, but it adds up to the same amount pretty much. I mean, if I'm working at 9 o'clock in the morning, I certainly can't park downstairs. I've gone to lunch and come back and gotten a ticket for moving my car, but really I've just gone to lunch and come back. It's just, it's been a struggle. I've paid a lot of tickets, and I'm just disappointed that there's not anything that, you know, like I said, we're not leaving our town, we're just working here locally. I could see if I was going to the city and coming back, I could understand that, but I don't want to go over my 3 minutes.
We don't tar and feather you, but we do ask you to stop. But one of the staff is looking at some alternatives, and I know that everybody's had probably not only at this level at a formal meeting, but also each of us individually have heard from people, and there are certain scenarios, like we heard at our last meeting, where it really does tie the hands of some of the part-time employees. And it made me think of the old time where we could put in 2 or 3 hours in a meter. And we thought it was wonderful, and we lost all those meters, but maybe those meters gave us choices that we don't have today. So I appreciate you coming.
And I would just add that some of the girls were actually working. I have 2 friends who, one girl works at both places in the complex, and I have another friend that's, you know, they're working tonight, so they couldn't be here, but there's a lot of people that are, you know, hoping that there's a change. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina. Tracy? If you could, for the record, for the clerk, give your name and address, please.
Okay. Tracy Michele, and I work in Panera Bread. The address is 31 South Evergreen in Arlington Heights. I also wanted to talk about just the parking situation, and I wanted to talk on behalf of my 30-plus employees that I have. Right now I kind of feel like we're in a lose-lose situation. I think it's very difficult for our customers to find parking spots that drive through. And on the same hand, it's very difficult for my employees to be able to afford to pay for $30 a month. I mean, many of these employees, you know, they make $9 or $10 an hour and are trying to support themselves, and also may have 2 jobs to support themselves. And it's just, if we can find some sort of discounted rate, I think that it would be a step in the right direction for a lot of people that work in the area. We also do have a letter and just something attached that, you know, there are some other areas or other towns, for Naperville, for example, that do have same similar type of deal, and they were able to work with the people in the shopping center to, you know, either pay $5 for a parking ticket or cut the price in half for a yearly rate. So if there's something that we can do, I think that's more than reasonable in what we're asking for. And I think that's really all I have. It's just I'd really like to find some sort of ground that we can all work together and get the situation under control.
Thank you very much, Tracy, and thank you for speaking on behalf of your employees. I know that the Naperville has been brought up by a number of people, and I know we got some information. I don't know if you want to, if staff would like to elaborate a little bit for the others in the audience.
We have partial information at this time. Naperville does have a program that provides a discount in effect for people such as those who've spoken this evening. We thank them for coming and expressing their concerns. This is how we address problems to learn about them. They have some other revenue sources that they use to subsidize their parking system. Our parking system is pretty much self-sustaining, so that's one of our challenges, but we are looking at this and do expect to report back to the board.
Okay, thank you. Keith Kotek, or Kotecki from Riviera. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'll be very brief today. Keith Kotke, 905 South Walnut, Arlington Heights. I just wanted to say thank you to whoever took care of Miss Osterman's ticket, that article I gave you last week. I heard that, I believe Mr. Dixon told me via email that that was taken care of. I think that was a very wise thing to do. On behalf of everybody that's come with us tonight in the retail and restaurant industry, something needs to be done, because exactly what I said last week, it's getting rough again. The economic situation is difficult. And again, I, for one, if I could pay $1,000 a year for 3 permits, I would, but I can't right now. Something needs to be adjusted. My former employee, I told you, did receive a letter from Arlington Heights Village about $180 in parking tickets he had, which he actually paid the day before he got the letter. And he showed it to me, and I just want to let you know about the final paragraph. They threatened to suspend his driver's license. And it said at the end, after they're going to suspend his driver's license, they're going to charge him an extra $20 for the processing fee. I'm going to go to the tax for a minute. The restaurant industry is collecting the tax for the village to help things like Metropolis and whatever else we're using that for. We don't ask for a $20 fee, handling fee, to fill out the paperwork for you. It's bad enough that we're going to suspend people's driver's license to work 3-hour shifts. And I'm pleading with you guys to figure something out for the employees of this town, because it's getting bad. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you for your follow-up from our prior meeting. I don't know all the details, but I do know that the village was somewhat forced into taking a position because we had people with hundreds and hundreds of unpaid parking tickets, and there had to be a procedure put in for people who were just totally ignoring them. I don't know if anybody on staff wanted to address this. Did I do it okay? There were, I don't know how many thousands of tickets, I mean dollars, that were in arrears.
Yes, and with the board's review and approval, we did initiate a program that ultimately leads to booting vehicles to get people in to settle these. It's not fair to those who are paying. That's a different issue than the question of employee parking.
Correct. Yeah. And I just wanted to say that a procedure was put in with a reason, which was significantly more than the 18 or so tickets that you mentioned. Next, Amanda Broadbeck. And Greg George will follow Amanda. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi. My name is Amanda Broadbeck. I'm the manager of the Starbucks in downtown Arlington Heights. The address is 33 South Evergreen. I am also here to talk about parking for employees and customers. I agree with everything that everybody else has stated about parking. It's very hard to expect my employees to pay $30 a month to come to work. almost impossible. It is impossible. They don't buy permits, and they park on the street, and they park in our lot with Starbucks and with Panera and with the Loft, and that takes up our customer parking. When employees are parked on the street and in the town square for a long period of time, that could be a parking spot for hundreds of customers, can go in and out and run in and go buy a candle and run in and buy some lotion from Bath and Body Works. We need to get the employees off of the street at a discounted price in the garage to make as much parking available for the customers. I have been a manager of this store for 2 years now, and I have talked with many of the local managers and business owners, and they all talk about parking being a problem. And I just can't help but wonder how long it's going to take for the people that are bringing high amounts of tax dollars into your village to complain and to say that something needs to change and to ask you all for your help in making this change until something's going to be done about it. Just like they said before, people that work part-time at minimum wage that are just trying to make ends meet, you had mentioned earlier that we're all tightening our belts. You know, that's what's happening, and paying $30 a month to come to work doesn't help with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you for being in Arlington Heights with Starbucks.
Good evening.
Hi, George.
My name is Greg George.
Greg,
that's
Mr.
all right.
George.
I'm from 1 East Campbell, the Rancher Shoe Repair. And when we were looking to relocate here, I was warned about one thing about Arlington Heights and downtown Arlington Heights, and that was the parking would be an issue. And it's been an issue. It hasn't been, I wouldn't say a nightmare, but it has been an issue. And from the perspective as an owner, you know, my employees, we have parking in the back, so it hasn't really been as much an issue as far as my own employees go. But as far as customers go, you know, we do get complaints periodically, and we're kind of at the center of the town, so, you know, it is a bit of an issue. But, you know, I was talking to some of the retailers in the area, and from what they've told me, that very few permits are being purchased to park by employees in the area. And they kind of traced it, and I don't know how accurate that is. But so I guess in my mind, you know, it's to give it a great discount, the village probably isn't going to lose a great deal of revenue from that. And if the spots are available, rather than having employees just going from spot to spot every 2 hours, seems kind of fruitless. And to be able to allow them at a greatly discounted rate, to me, seems to make a lot of sense, because it's just not getting a lot of use as it is. We were in Whitfield Mall for about 25 years, and located there, we just did everything imaginable, and it was almost the exact opposite, where we were paying people to park further out. We'd give them discount cards. I was part of the Merchants Association, and just did everything we could, and it was a struggle even paying for people, you know, to park further out in the outlots. And, you know, it seems like we have the parking here. If we could just get them off the street, you know, a lot of the retailers would benefit quite a bit from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you for all the great shoe repair you do. Were there any other, I'm a loyal customer, because I can never have time to go buy a new pair, so he has to fix them for me. Any other people wishing to address parking or any other subject? Anyone else for citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close that section and thank each of you for coming. I know that individually, I think many of the members on this board have asked the staff to come up with some creative ideas that is equitable to all. The commuter parking that someone pointed out that parks all day, and the ones who are working all day and might buy that $30 permit. But for the part-time workers, which I think a lot of retailers have today, it's a real challenge. So I think we have to somehow come up with some kind of new formula. Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor. Over the years, I've been involved with the business community and parking in a variety of different volunteer positions. Excuse me. The way that we found ourselves with parking in the parking lot from noon on for free was through working with the parking committee to develop something for the part-time employees. And the reason that noon was the time that it started at was because there was big concern over the commuters, which I can understand, but so now we have a new challenge to find a better way to do it. I also wanted to mention that when people are using Naperville as an example, myself and Trustee, well, he's not here, Trustee Farwell worked on the Downtown Redevelopment Master Plan Task Force. That's what I recall it being called. And we took a trip out to Naperville as a commission, and one of the things that we did learn is that part of the way that they're able to afford the discounts for the employees is that they have a special service area. So there's an additional property tax that's levied on all the businesses within that special service area, which as someone who operates a business in town has fought against for many, many years, of us creating these special service areas, which is going to increase the property taxes in downtown on the businesses. And also on the residents that live in the downtown if we had an SSA. So I just kind of wanted to point that out of one of the other ways that Naperville is able to do that. I also wanted to mention that I think that over the years that staff has identified this as an issue and has found a way to help the newer employees, and I'll say that because when we have a business come before the village that needs us some kind of special use permit, the village is now requiring that included in the lease that there's language that the business purchases the permits on behalf of the employees. Is that correct, Charles?
That's correct, Trustee Scaletta.
Okay, so an example with like Panera and Starbucks, it would have been kind of forced on the parent company to provide those parking permits. So I just kind of want to mention that yes, we still have work to do, but if you were here in 2000, it was we had a lot more challenges when it came to parking than we do today. But everything that everyone is saying is still valid, and I know that the parking committee will be reviewing this information and seeing if there's some way that we can work this out. It really comes down to the logistics. You know, if we're able to find a way that we can balance it all, paying for the parking structures and the maintenance and the repair, then it really comes down to administratively how we're able to get these passes out to employees in the downtown without it becoming a system that's riddled with people taking advantage of it, that they no longer work at a business in downtown, now they work downtown Chicago, and they're still using that pass to park in downtown but work downtown, or giving it to friends and family. So we really just have to find a way to be able to identify the funding source and then how we would handle that administratively to make sure that the working people, especially the part-time working people in Arlington Heights, are able to park in the downtown for a reasonable rate, and at the same time not have the system filled with fraud.
Very well stated. Thank you, Trustee Scaletta. We do have a lot of creative people, and no matter how you design a program to try to make everything equitable, someone finds a way to go around it, and then that messes up everything for everyone. So any other comments from trustees? Anything else from staff? Okay, we'll.
Can I ask that when this topic, when we discuss it again, that those that came before us are at least notified, or we provide information to the chamber so that they're aware, so that that there's some follow-up, so that you you don't go, oh, the meeting was last night and I missed it.
I think that's a great idea. I don't have everyone's address here. Some of you gave your work address, but if we've got the businesses identified, we can, and then I'm hopeful that you will share that with your neighbors, the other business entities as well.
Or the author of the memo that encouraged people to come tonight, maybe that person could let the village manager know that you'd be happy to spread the word.
Yeah. Great idea. Okay, that will conclude our citizens to be heard. We now move to old business, and we have the report of the Committee of the Whole meeting of March 21st, where we had a motion from Trustee Glasgow.
I will move now, as I did then, that the Committee of the Whole recommend to the Board of Trustees that the Board approve the proposed fiscal year 2013 budget as amended through the review process.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Hayes. Any comments? Anyone in the audience? Seeing none, is this voice vote at this point?
Voice.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We also have a report coming out of the Committee of the Whole meeting, which was held this evening prior to this meeting, coming from Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move, as I did earlier this evening, to concur in the mayor's appointment of Erwin Campbell to the Senior Citizens Commission with the term ending April 30th, 2015.
And it's seconded by Trustee Breyer.
Yes. Yeah.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Breyer. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Campbell, if you please come up to the microphone. If you'd please raise your right hand and repeat the following phrases. Say aye and clearly state your name.
I, Erwin Campbell,
And repeat the following. Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the Office of Senior Citizens Commission
to the Office of Senior Citizens Commission
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of this office
according
to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
Knowing you for as many years as I have no doubt you will do that, Erwin. If you could please come forward. And as Irv comes forward, I can tell you he's been volunteering for about 40 or 50 years. Are you that old? And on so many different fronts, but you'll see him wearing a red shirt during 4th of July, and you'll see him at the Senior Center right now. Your oath of office, that you can come back when you're 120, and it'll be at the clerk's office, will be able to produce it for you. You'll have to sign that in the presence of our clerk, Becky. And as a member of the board, of a board and a commission, or a commission, you are an extension of the elected board, the 9 of us, and we are all very proud to wear our logo pin, and we would be honored if you would be also, as an extension of this board and policymaker. Thank you very much. Mr. and Mrs. Campbell have resided in Arlington for a long time, and Mrs. Campbell has been a nurse that has worked with our District 25 schools for years and volunteers in additionally in many, many organizations. And no one's asking, but I'm going to say I think that's the strength of the Village of Arlington Heights, are the people who live here, who volunteer and serve themselves and their neighbors by advising this village board on a number of important subjects, senior commission being just one. So thank you in advance for all that you're going to do, but also thank you for all that you have done. And you too, Elsie. That concludes the report of our Committee of the Whole meeting this evening, held prior to this meeting, April 2nd. We now move to the consent agenda, and I'd ask if there are any trustees who wish to vote no or pass on any consent agenda that is presented this evening. Trustee Glasgow?
On Section 9, Appointment 1, I'd like to recuse myself.
Give that to me again.
Section 9, Appointment 1, I'd like to recuse myself.
9.
Section 9.
Appointments.
appointments.
His daughter.
Okay.
Page 5. Sorry.
That looks like 14 to me. That's why I'm having a hard
It
time
is.
finding 9.
Oh, sorry.
You need to go to a Roman numeral school.
Or my strength in
I was going to say,
Roman
wait a minute, we
studies.
start at 10. There is no 9. Okay. All right, so under appointments, yeah, you have somebody that you know there. Okay. Any other comments?
I never know what Super Bowl it is either, so.
Any other comments?
Move approval.
Motion by trustee Scaletta.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Sidor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
President Mulder?
Yes. Motion carries. For those of you who are still with us in the audience, we just covered pages 4, 5, and 6. And you'll notice there are many, many citizens who have listed in Roman numeral 14 as volunteering and have just now been appointed to new terms or perhaps chairman terms. So now we're on page 7 for those of you wanting to watch a basketball game tonight. I'm not sure which one. We are on page 7, legal 13. We have ordinances and resolutions. You've heard us mention the budget for the 2012-2013 year, ending April 30th of 2013. I'd call on Mr. Dixon.
Actually, Mayor, nothing more to say on this item. I covered what I had at the public hearing introduction. Then the board acted on its final motion from the 4 budget meetings, so this budget's ready to be approved and the ordinance would do it.
Comments from trustees?
I'd just move approval of the ordinance.
Motion by trustee Hayes,
Second.
second by trustee Glasgow. Anyone in the audience wish to make any comments?
Is it really approved after we vote? This will be the last time? We voted on it 3 times already.
Yeah, this is the official
You got to make
one.
sure.
It's whenever it's an ordinance, it's for real and final. Any other comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
President Mulder?
Yes. Only took us 4 meetings and 22 hours. No. Appointments were in the consent agenda, petitions and communications. Oh boy, gotta find it here. Wanted to share with our residents and the members of this board that Arlington Heights is again going to compete in the Cash for, or Cans for Cash. I was going to say Cash for Cans. It's a municipal recycling challenge, which is nationwide. This contest, which was created by the United States Conference of Mayors, challenges communities across the country to collect and recycle aluminum beverage cans over 1 month. The national recycling competition is from April 1st through the 30th, and the more aluminum cans collected through the village's recycling program, the better it is for the village to have an opportunity to win up to a $25,000 grant award that can be used to support recycling efforts through the local education and awareness programs. Recycling 40 cans saves the equivalent of 1 gallon of gasoline. Don't ask me how to calculate that out, but that has been given to me as a bona fide fact. And during the month of April, we want to encourage our residents who already do an incredible job of recycling all materials in their green bins or their now new toters, to recycle as many aluminum cans and bring them home from those soccer games and things, or picnics or anything else, and make sure you get them at our curbside as they are counted and submitted, as communities throughout the United States will be doing during the month of April. So I encourage everyone to put in that extra effort and make certain that can gets into the bin and not into the regular garbage. I would ask if there's anybody else that has any things under communications. Seeing none, I would simply like to end with, I hope during this next week that all of those who are recognizing and observing the Passover have a wonderful family event as they recognize the Passover event, as well as those who celebrate Easter, that they may have a very happy one, and that the weather provides good Easter egg hunting for our young people. With that, I'll have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Blackwood.
Second.
And seconded by Trustee Scaletta. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you all for joining us. This meeting is now adjourned.